Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on when you're watching this. Today's note should be quick and hopefully not super duper hard. So you should have already looked through all of the review that was on that page. Okay? Then from here, we are going to look at some examples. So as always, let's put today's date, depending on when you're watching this, is either 8/19 or 8/20. And we are talking about comparing. We are talking about comparing rational and irrational numbers. We are talking about comparing rational and irrational numbers. All right? So let's look at some examples. Example number 1 is going to be comparing. Examples number 1 is comparing 10% and 1/8. Comparing 10% and 1/8. So again, you should have notes on that triangle, right? Where you look at the arrows and see, how do I change it to a percent? How do I change it to a decimal? That triangle that we took notes on, right? I re-put it in as well into the page in Canvas of what that looks like. So changing a decimal to a percent to a decimal, we take off the percent and we divide by 100. And again, you can literally use a calculator for that. 10 divided by 100 is 0.1. All right. And then to change a fraction into a decimal, I do the top number divided by the bottom number. 1 divided by 8 is 0.125. So if you do not remember how to compare decimals, right, we would want to make sure that they are lined up. And any place where there's numbers here and not here, we would just put zeros in the place of those. Okay? Where there are no numbers in where there are no digits in one of your numbers and there are in the other, let's put 0 as placeholders. So zeros are the same, ones are the same, so we look here. Is 0 bigger or is 2 bigger? 2 is bigger, which means that 10% is less than 1/8, which means 10% is less than 1/8. All right, let's look at example number 2. This time we have 2 3/4 negative being compared to 2.75 negative. Negative 2 3/4 being compared to negative 2.75%. Sorry, I forgot my percent sign. Negative 2 3/4 and negative 2.75%. So remember, we have talked about to change a mixed number to a decimal. Let's start with our fraction. We would do 3 divided by 4, which is 0.75. And then I literally would just put this in front of it. So I would have negative 2.75. All right. And you may be saying, well, they're the same, Miss Davy. But remember, this is a percent. So we need to change it to a decimal. Even though there's a decimal in it, it is not a decimal. So negative 2.75 divided by 100 is negative 002.75. Okay? When you're dealing with negatives, you want the one that is closer to 0. So you should have your sign being less than.